Talks are actually resuming today in New York on Iran's nuclear program. Negotiators from the United States, Iran, 5 other nations, they're working on what so far has been an elusive agreement on Iran's nuclear future. Joining us now to talk about what's at stake, Mark Dubowitz. He's executive director of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy. Spent a lot of time studying this issue. So what do you think, Mark? The deadline for an agreement is late November. As you know, it had originally been earlier, but was extended. Is there any reason to believe this deal will get done?
Well, Wolf, the U.S. government is working long and hard to figure out if it can accommodate Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's red lines. And so the question before us is not whether they're going to work hard, but are they going to sufficiently cave to the Supreme Leader to accommodate those very red lines? If they're willing to do so, there'll be a deal. If not, they'll stand tough and we'll get another extension. Well,
do you have confidence that the U.S., the 5 other members who are, non-permanent members, permanent and non-permanent members are involved in this negotiation, that they will get the deal that you would like?
Well, if I'm not confident, I mean, there has been a systematic erosion of the U.S. negotiating position over the past year. I think that we have done a lot to try and accommodate Iran's Supreme Leader. He has just responded with one simple word: no. And we continue to try find technical compromises to try and find this elusive agreement. But he knows that we want the deal more than he does.
What is the major sticking point right now from your perspective?
Well, the major sticking point that's been publicly announced is the question of enrichment capacity and really the number of centrifuges that we're willing to allow the Iranians to have for a short duration of time. But the major sticking point fundamentally is that this is a regime that is committed to having a nuclear weapon. We know that, but we are in this sort of elaborate kabuki dance to try and pretend that we can actually find a deal that will sufficiently constrain their nuclear ambitions.
As you know, the U.S. and Iran right now, they have one thing very much in common. They both hate ISIS, and they both are trying to destroy ISIS in different ways. How does that potential collaboration or cooperation in this war against ISIS factor into the nuclear negotiations?
You know, Wolf, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria and the Islamic Republic of Iran are really 2 sides of the same jihadist coin. And Iran really benefits from the rise of extremism in the Middle East. I think any kind of collaboration with Iran is going to only undermine our negotiating position. The Iranians fully understand that any cooperation from them will come at a cost. They will take their pound of flesh at the negotiation table, and it'll only seriously erode our negotiating position, which already is tenuous.
But they have gone after ISIS on several fronts. They have a lot of influence in Iraq, including Iranian Republican Guard military personnel. They are trying to beat ISIS right now, right?
Well, they are for their own reasons. So if that's the case, let them. But there's no reason why we should be collaborating, cooperating. We're communicating and maybe deconflicting, and I think that's probably important from a military operational perspective. But there's no reason to collaborate. They actually have been partly responsible for the rise of the Islamic State, and if it's a challenge that they want to confront on their own, let them. But that should not come at a cost at the negotiating table. We've got to keep our eyes on the prize, which is a good agreement that constrains Iran's nuclear weapons capability.
Do you accept the general assessment, widely accepted, that the new president of Iran, President Rouhani, is a lot better than Ahmadinejad, his predecessor?
Well, if I do and I don't, I think he's a lot better with respect to his desire for maybe a more moderate approach internally within Iran. But he is very much committed to the same objective the Supreme Leader is committed to, the Revolutionary Guards are committed to, and that is a nuclear weapon. I think that there is unity amongst Iran's elite on that question. There may be a lot of disunity on the issue of tactics and exactly how to get there, but I think this is a man who is a pragmatist, but who is also deeply committed to a nuclear weapon and what that would mean for Iran and its regional influence.
Mark Dubowitz of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy, thanks very much for joining us.